So let me go to adding a new client. So either a plus button here or anywhere you are in the app, you can hit this blue pencil icon in order to create a new record. Now the term client is used loosely here because we encourage you to put, as soon as somebody inquires, you want to put all of your inquiries in here as well, because this is your new information card. Okay, your information is just going to be in here. And so you're going to put your date of inquiry. So assume, somebody calls me today and they of course don't have a client ID yet. The client status is automatically going to be inquiry here. And then a handle. The handle, there's a little tooltip here as well. This is what we use as a more confidential identifier for the clients. Instead of having the full name show on all the interfaces, we use a handle, and I encourage you to use initials for that. Okay, so that's what we call there. So let's call this person QQQ for now. And that's all that's required to start this. So you just get a phone call from somebody, you may stick in their phone number, an email address so that you've got it recorded. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that just so that the record gets saved.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Do you then have people just not using info cards anymore, just using this?
Yeah, I don't use info cards. Yeah. Unless, if you, it depends on your situation. I mean, if you have open group intro sessions where you might just have people showing up, maybe you could create your own or something.
Right.
Just long enough for it to get into FCPro.
Right.
So then you'll notice right away that we have these little lock icons. So any piece of information that is considered personal health information, PHI, is sensitive information, is not going to show up on the screen automatically or by default. Okay. But there's 2 levels of credentials that you need to enter FCPro. You have your username and password that you use to get in, and then you have a PIN number that you set, 4-digit PIN, and that's where you enter your PIN and you can see all this information. So if I click on up here or on any of these lock icons at all, it brings up a little form. I enter my 4 digits and I can just hit enter or click OK, and then it's going to show everything on the screen. Okay. And then, okay, so I've entered that inquiry, and maybe then they come to an intro session. So then I would go over to the appointments tab, and I would enter the fact that they attended an intro. So I'm going to add an appointment for them. Say it was today, and they came to a group intro. We have all the different types of appointments here. I held that at St. Mary's Church, and it was just the woman, okay, for example. And I could also, this wouldn't really apply for an intro, but for a follow-up, you may want to upload a scan of their chart that you can store here. Client notes is also not really applicable for an intro session, but I'll take a minute to show you what this is for follow-ups. So when I, in my client follow-ups, I was realizing that, at the end of the follow-up, you go back and review things that they need to remember, observations and charting things that they need to remember. Maybe you started a new protocol, like post-peak yellow stamps or B6, and then you're going to give them an assignment, like the spice index or something like that. And you tell them all this stuff, and they walk out the door and they forget half of it, right? And so,
and so do you,
right? And so
I did make a form to fill it out, but
yep.
Really.
And that's what I did too. I created my own form with 3 different sections, and I started writing that in for them when I was doing in-person follow-ups. Okay, and then we had FCPro, and I thought, oh, okay, we should do this more electronically. So I set it up exactly the same way as I had done on my own form. And so we have 3 different sections, and you'll add a note. I'll just do one example, focus on bedtime routine, and we'll call that observation and charting reminder, or I'll do another one to show the breakdown. we'll just say start V6. And I would obviously put a lot more detail there, but special protocol, like that. Okay. And so then I'll show you what happens with this here in a minute. Fourth tab here under the appointment record is notes for you. Now, I always have to, I've been told over and over again, we have to make sure to communicate to people that this is not your place for case management. All of the notes that should be in the follow-up form still go in the follow-up form. So this would be something that you want to remind yourself quickly going forward what you did at that follow-up, or there are key things that you started yellow stamps. Client was very stressed. Just some things that if you take a phone call from them later and you want to, pop into FCPro, you have those quick notes. If you don't have the follow-up form with you or don't want to spend 10 minutes, reading through everything. Okay. So we're going to save that as the appointment. So that now shows up. We had a group intro on 314. And now we have a client notes column here with a little PDF icon where I can click on that and I get a PDF with those client notes that I can either print out, if I have a printer where I see those clients, or I can just email it to them. Okay, so it's going to show the 3 different sections with my notes. It's actually going to show their name right here. I didn't enter a name, but it will show that. Okay, so that's the client notes. And so all your appointments are going to be listed here going forward. Okay, so then I have a first follow-up and I get a lot more information about this person. Oh, I probably would have put referrer in, when I first got the inquiry from them. But then at some point you're going to have a lot more information. You're going to enter a client ID. And you can use this little magic tool to automatically pull the next number in the sequence for you. If you want, you can, when you are at that follow-up and you schedule the next appointment, you can enter it here. Note that this is not a scheduling system. So it's not going to send reminders. It's not going to remind you. And so I encourage people to utilize a scheduling system that does all those things really, really well. Okay.
I use Setmore.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Now, our goal is that, going forward here, that we'll be able to create a connector between FCPro and some of these other applications where you'd be able to share some data there. Okay, so there's a lot more information that you could enter as much or as little as you want to here in FCPro. You have birth dates, wedding dates, and it will automatically calculate the age for you, which is nice and handy. You can enter pregnancy history, they enter their reproductive category. Notes, this is just a general open section of notes for you about this client. Now I encourage this to be something like, more like a personal connection or a trigger for you about that person. Like, I found when I had 10 or even 20 clients, I could keep track of them in my head and what they looked like and stuff. But with 60 clients, or more, I have clients who I can't remember their face, when they're coming in.
And so to me, I'm like, okay, I think her hair is curly.
I know.
And they show up the door, and in my office, it's they buzz, and you have to let them in. And I'm like, I think I'm letting the right person.
Right. Exactly. So you might put things on here like long, beautiful dark hair, or husband is deployed until August. You'd want to know that. You want to remind yourself of that right away, even if you don't have time to scour the follow-up form before that meeting, right? Okay, so general notes. Case management here is mostly tags, so you can tag them with different case management things going on, and also state the current intention. This is not much here, just their time zone, if you want to remember if you're seeing long distance clients. The journal is a dated notes. So this, we put this in here because you remember those old telephone report forms that you probably never used? So we really...
one once, and then I was like, why did I use this?
Right, exactly. So, but we really ought to be recording every interaction that we have with a client. So you have a telephone call with a client, or you text back and forth with them, or you exchange an email with them. We really ought to have a record for that, and that's what the journal entry is for. So you're going to record phone call with client and some notes about what you talked about. And that's just going to be a listing of dated journal entries there. You can add general client documents. So remember, we had documents you could upload specifically for an appointment. You can also upload documents for the client in general. So you might want to just keep a copy of the general intake form. Yeah, or exactly their signed payment agreement or something like that. Okay, so that's basically the whole client details area here. Did I add here? I want to add a practitioner note so I can show you something. Okay. All right, save that and save and close the entire client record here. It's going to go back to the full client listing. Excuse me. And here's my inquiry that we just added. Shows me their last appointment was that group intro session on March 14th. And we see that it's a link. So I can click on this and it brings up those practitioner notes right away. Okay. And then, so here in this interface, a couple of things to point out. You can sort any of these columns. Okay. You can search by even though the full name is not showing here, you can search by the name. Okay, so if I type in Christina, it's going to show me all the clients that I have with that first name. You can also search by last name or by client ID to find a specific.
That's really handy. Like when you're talking with one on the phone and they're like, "Hey, it's Anna," and I'm like, "Great, I have 3 Annas."
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think I have. Yeah.
Which one you are?
Yeah, and that means something in your relationship if you say, "Oh, okay, what's your last name?"
I'm trying to figure out by postal code because one is local, not postal code, by the phone number.
Yeah.
One is local and like 2 are long distance.
Yeah, I know, totally. So by default in this interface, it's going to show a client. Let me talk about the client statuses here in a minute. But by default, it's going to not show you any of your discontinued or archived clients. You can show everybody by just clicking on the Show All button here. Or would it be more useful is using this tool where you can filter by a particular client status. So if I want to see just my pregnant clients, it's going to show just them. If I want to see just my discontinued clients, I can click on that. Okay. So let's talk about those client statuses. Let me go back in here so we can look at them all at once.
This is very helpful because it's been 5-6 months and I'm coming back, and I was struggling getting excited about coming back. I was more like, okay, I've got an amount of paperwork I already have to do, like I have to certify. This is instilling the excitement in me, so I'm happy the time to.
Amen. Awesome. Good deal. That's what we want. So we have 5 client statuses. Inquiry is pretty obvious. Pregnant's also obvious. So discontinued is going to be anybody who's really discontinued the program or your program. So if they've transferred out, they would be discontinued in your program. Basically anything that you would fill out on that last page of the follow-up form. Okay, if they've lost a follow-up or they've transferred out. Archived really should be, and there's support.fcpro.org, and a lot of this same detail is in there. Okay, so you don't have to try and remember all this right now. So archived is somebody who never really started at all. So they called you, but they never came to an intro session, or they came to an intro session and they never started the program. You're going to follow up with them a few times, whatever your policy is. 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and then you want them off your screen. And so you just change them to archived. Okay. So an active client is so anybody who is in those first date follow-ups or in long-term follow-ups. Okay. All right. I think that's it for clients in particular. And I'm just going to trust that you're going to stop me with questions.
Yeah.
Anytime you have them. So let's hop over to the dashboard and look at some of these metrics. These 3 at the top, pretty obvious. Total clients you've ever had. So anybody, and it's going to give you a little explanation. All clients that have been assigned a client ID ever. Okay. Active clients, status is active. Pregnant clients. Okay. The pipeline overview is going to show you where you have clients during those first date follow-ups. So this is something that's meant to help you in your practice know where you are with the workload. So if you have, lots of people appear in these follow-ups, it's time to do some more intro sessions, and so it just helps you give an idea of where those clients are during those, during that initial learning period. Census report data. So we don't have a census report output yet. We just have pieces of data that you can use to fill out a census report. So this is going to, let me get some better numbers here. I haven't been seeing a lot of clients in the last year or so I don't have a lot of data, but you can pull up, oops, just change this to today and apply. So you can either say, do month to date, year to date, or a range. So I put in a range, and it's going to tell me how many intro sessions I had in that range, and you can actually click on this and it will show you the detail there for who those intro sessions were with. It's going to do that. You can do the same for pregnancy evaluations. So I've had 3 since roughly the start of 2016. And then it's going to show you a breakdown for first follow-ups between regular and infertility, and then other follow-ups between regular and infertility. We're really showing the infertility because that's what's on the census report, and that's what interns need to report on. I'm tending to suggest to people that they use that infertility checkbox for any NAPRO, right? So you can track in your own practice how many clients you have under NAPRO eval.
Like everyone.
Yeah.
Based on my experience.
Yeah, that's probably true. And then this is what I was talking about when I wasn't listening to what you were saying. That's going to show you a pie chart of where your clients are coming from. This isn't very functional yet down here, the resources. You can add your own links. You just want to have a list of links there. There's 2 files showing here, and you can't edit that yet. Eventually, you'll be able to upload your own just resource files there. Okay, and then reports. Okay, so we have the logbook report, which is more of a standard graphical, looking spreadsheet, I guess, looking report. So this is going to show you all clients or everybody who's entered into the system just in a more table type format. And just an update in the last week, you can output all of this data to Excel. So essentially you can output all of your basic data. It's just going to be these columns of data. Eventually we'd also like to be able to, for you to be able to toggle on and off more pieces of data that you can output here. Okay, your certification report is going to be helpful to you. So once you get your data final exam in there, that is going to make sure that none of the data you enter that was during your internship shows up in the certification report. So this is going to tell you when you've met the criteria for certification. And that's it. And then advanced reporting is in beta. I have a few people testing it right now. It will go out to everybody soon. But basically, this is where you can take all those other pieces of data that you've put into FCPro, like reproductive category, current intention, and sort and filter by that data and see what you get. If you want to see all of your, breastfeeding total clients who are on pre-peak yellow stamps, right? You could do something like that. I don't know if I have any. Actually don't. Surprising. So that's in beta, and that will be coming soon.
Maybe your total breastfeeding clients aren't on pre-peak because you're not back in cycles.
Well, they could be. It would be pre-peak yellow stamps if they're breastfeeding on yellow stamps.
No, that's not a separate thing.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah. I would call it pre-peak because they are pre-peak.
They are pre-peak.
Constant pre-peak. Yeah, but I actually don't have a lot of, I have mostly long-term clients right now. Okay, so really that's it. What, let me just show you, well, it's easier to go here. So you're always gonna have this little support button. You can click on that and submit a ticket if you are running into some weirdness with something. It's automatically gonna go to me. Oh no, that's my email address. See, that's me. My name, subject, and put a little message. And then if you use this little, click on this little camera icon, it actually takes a screenshot of your whole screen automatically. So will show me exactly what's on your screen at the time you were having issues. And that's most helpful if you run into an error or something. Okay. And then support.fcpro.org goes to our help desk program, which is actually where all those tickets go to, but it's also where we have a bunch of, what do you call them, like knowledge-based articles.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to, I'm logged in, so it's going to show me. When you're not logged in, it's just going to go to this solutions area with these articles. So there's a bunch of stuff here you can look through. I think you just joined the FCP Business Network, right? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
I was looking through the emails that you had sent, and I was like, oh, wait, there's this? And so
Yeah, good. That's a great place to, it's kind of part FCPro support group and business support group. So we talk a lot about business stuff. I have a passion for that, so we throw around ideas for running our businesses more efficiently and business tools and things like that.